So I just finished Ghostrunner and it was really fun. When it worked. Don't let the stellar visuals and presentation fool you, this is still a game that's rough around the edges. I don't really want that to be taken as a knock against it, but it is fairly buggy. I played through it after the November 20th patch had dropped, which fixed a bunch of bugs, but a lot of what they mentioned they had fixed is still there. I do want to stress that a lot of the issues that I'm going to be bringing up in this video are bug related, so they can hopefully be fixed in a future patch. For those who don't know, Ghostrunner is a Mirror's Edge styled first-person parkour action game with instant restart in everything including you dying in one hit, similar to games like Superhot and Hotline Miami. Like both of the games I just listed, the gameplay of Ghostrunner is incredibly addictive once it clicks into place. The big issue is when it doesn't. Ghostrunner is the first game that I have played where the start of the game is the buggiest and the middle of the game is actually more stable. I feel like the biggest mark you could have against a game all about precision and fast-paced action is being inconsistent. You can honestly apply this issue with inconsistency to all games, but I think it's the worst in games like this because this is the thing that it's all based around. It's the big reason why I didn't enjoy Sekiro that much at launch because it was incredibly fucking buggy with NPCs completely breaking on me. Unfortunately, a lot of the inconsistencies that I ran into with the game are its traversal. Ledge detection being really off where I would see the ledge grab animation and I would still fall down and die. Sometimes I'd grab the ledge and then be pulled up way higher than I should have. Other times it would just do nothing despite what I feel like was being within range to grab the ledge only to fall to my death. Wall running also has a similar issue where I would just slide right off a wall instead of continuing my running. At times it did feel like I fucked up, but other times the game left me going, what the fuck was that? The patch notes said that they fixed a lot of bugs with the geometry, but there is still plenty, especially when the grappling hook is involved. I got stuck in walls multiple times and this issue is present for enemies too. The sword enemies are one of the few that actually move around and don't just stand still waiting for the sweet embrace of death or teleport around. So when they dash at you, they too also get caught on the geometry, failing to kill you. But since you can only kill them by parrying their attack and then slashing back while they're staggered, this brings the pace of fights to a screeching halt. I really like the idea of these enemies, but I wish you could just kill them from behind if they aren't alerted. A few times I managed to get behind them unaware of my position, only to just bounce right off them when I attacked them, which felt like it invalidated all of my cool work I did to get there. Other bugs I encountered include dying and then the press R to restart button didn't work anymore, so I had to manually pause the game and hit the restart button in the menu over and over again each time I died. This became incredibly annoying and just ruining the pace of the game when you die in one hit and I'm trying to learn a room in order to perfect it and play it the best as possible. I also encountered this bug from tabbing out of the game, so don't do that. The only way to fix this bug to my knowledge is by closing the game and reopening it, which makes you lose all the progress of the current level you're playing. By far the worst bug I ran into was at the end of the game where I was right at the end of level 15 and I lost the ability to look up. I seriously have no idea how I caused this bug, but one time I died and then restarted only to not be able to look up and down anymore. As you can tell from the gameplay on screen, I tried flailing my mouse around in all directions only to be sent left and right, basically forcing me into original Doom mode. The only way I was able to fix this was, again, closing the game, losing my progress, and playing through the level again. Hopefully these issues get fixed with patches, and I expect them to because the devs have been fixing issues along with adding in new features like the instant restart setting, so fingers crossed it will be soon. Other non-bug criticisms I have for the game are never being able to tell the range of my sword consistently. Due to a lot of the swing animations and the range compensation that the game has, similar to God of War 4, I was never able to discern a consistent range that my sword had. Going back and watching a bunch of my footage in slow motion, it makes me go, how the fuck did I even manage to kill half of these guys? Here is a little montage of ones that stood out as some of the worst offenders in my opinion. Watching back a bunch of my footage in slower speeds made me start to realize some of the bullshit that this game tries to pull on you in the background. Due to the first-person perspective and the fast pace of the game, you probably won't notice a bunch of these things in the moment-to-moment gameplay, but I caught things like bullets curving to hit me, bullets that looked like they were going over my head, hitting my screen and then causing me to die for no reason, enemies turning in a single frame to be locked onto you to kill you when you're in close range. I personally really dislike when games do things like this. It feels like an artificial way to amplify difficulty, and this game's speed and perspective mask these frustrating elements from being noticed. The level design for some of these platforming sections can be kind of meh. A lot of it is just these hanging walls that you have to bounce back and forth between, or maybe a zip-lining section using the grappling hook, or jumping between these Monsters Inc. door racks. But to the game's credit, it does have a lot of good platforming sections. I just wish they had some more varied types, but maybe because of the ledge and wall detection issues I showcased earlier, maybe it's a blessing in disguise that they don't have more varied sections. The story of the game is pretty generic by cyberpunk dystopian future apocalypse setting standards, but since the game is pretty short, only being about 5 hours or maybe shorter if you're really good at the game, it didn't overstay its welcome and bother me. This is pretty much everything I had issues with off the top of my head, so let's get into praising the shit out of this game. God damn, is this soundtrack really catchy and perfectly got me into the rhythm and mood of playing this game. The overall presentation of the game is also fantastic, and like I said, it makes you forget that this is an indie game and not a AAA new IP from a huge studio. The game has some amazing visual locations inside the Cyber Void, which is the place that you learn all of your new abilities. The abilities you get aren't anything mind-blowing, but they're all incredibly fun to use. My personal two favorites were the Mind Jack, where you could turn an enemy into an ally to attack the others in the area, and the Blink, which allows you to dash through projectiles and kill as many enemies as you're in range of. It is super satisfying to line up a bunch of enemies and just slash right through them. I love the modulation they put on the voices of the Ghostrunner and the Architect.
Free at last. Pleasure to meet you. Face to face, that is. Now, let's take a look inside.
This is Ghostrunner.
I love the little sword twirling animations that the Ghostrunner does. It's a nice little cute way to give him a personality. Like I said at the start, once the gameplay clicks into place and works, it is so fun and addicting. The instant restart feature that they added in a patch only adds to the addictive gameplay loop even more, as I would restart as soon as a run didn't go exactly like I wanted. The game does something that I brought up in the last episode of Backlog Monologue when talking about fear. It allows you to be the director of the action movie that this game is. Anytime I was playing this game and not executing to my expectation and doing something incredibly cool, my ass was restarting the shit over and over again and learning these levels. It also alleviates most of the frustration by not making me realize how many times I've died or restarted trying to get that perfect run. I would definitely recommend picking up this game, but as of right now there's a pretty big asterisk next to it, saying to wait for another patch or two or maybe a sale, because it's pretty short, but I found the gameplay loop really fun, so there is a decent amount of replay value if the gameplay clicks for you. My biggest hope for the game, aside from the bug fixes, is hopefully they add a level editor or additional challenges, having more arenas to allow you to flex your skills once you have everything unlocked. If you've made it this far into the video, I just want to say thanks for watching as always. If you really like the channel, maybe consider becoming a patron on Patreon. All patrons get access to videos a day early, and I'm now going to shout out my $5 and up patrons. Bully, Lucy the Fox, Comrade Fox, Tristan the White Wolf, Slemth Tingle, Matthew Elliott, Dusty the Zombie, Filthy Fingers 69, Clivermort, William Moore, Tyler Schertzer, Some Panda, Poke Joke S, Joshua DiLarino, Chichometrius, Ben Johnson, Sarah Chan, Oods of Nudes, Fish Kami, Joe Nisen, Alejandro Benitez, Star Fox, Flarbu, and Mitchell. Thanks so much, guys. If you're a card game player of any kind, I have a TCG Player affiliate link in the description below. Any purchases you make give me a small kickback, so it's just another way to help support the channel. As for what's coming out next, I'm not entirely sure, because I have a few short video ideas in mind, but a bunch of them are games that I do want to mention in my Game of the Year discussion. So if I was to put out these videos, then the Game of the Year video, I would end up repeating myself a lot, and within a short window of release that kind of bothers me. So I might just wrap those up into the Game of the Year discussion and just have that basically be 10 or more reviews in one video and have it be like an hour long or something. Either way, whatever comes out next, I hope you enjoy, and as always, thanks for watching and see you next time.